Hey, it's Mel here from Wake Nutrition, and today I want to bring you a little snack size seminar all about agave syrup or agave nectar. Now, I've never used this up until today, but this morning I was delivering a cooking workshop with Salute Fatigue Foundation. So I was running an energy kitchen because this charity supports people with chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia and ME. So the recipes and the food that I create must be very simple and quick to prepare, so there's not much energy investment, but are nutritious and are not going to mess around with blood sugar levels. So we've got to have dessert, haven't we? So I made dessert, and it was an instant frozen berry yogurt, okay? And essentially we used a coconut yogurt. We added some frozen berries to it, and sometimes because there's black currants and red currants in there that can be quite tart, I normally add a little bit of honey for sweetness. And I thought this would be a good opportunity to use the agave, because as a natural sweetener it has very, very similar properties to honey. Now you'll see it's a little bit more runny, okay? And just like honey, you can use this in drinks, you can use it in baking, on cereals, in desserts and so on. And I guess one of the good things about agave is that it has a more delicate flavour. So if you're making a drink, or let's say doing some dessert, sometimes you don't really want that sort of strong honey flavour or aroma coming through. So this can be quite a good alternative, so it doesn't interfere with the other flavours going on in the dish. So in that respect, the dessert worked really well. Now, if we compare these two together, okay, they are both fructose. They are both made of the plant sugar fructose. There's not that much difference from them. So we might sort of assume that the agave, because it's a natural plant sweetener, that it's way better than other sugars that we might add in our baking, and it's way better than artificial sweeteners. That's another can of worms, but there isn't that much difference. So if we look at gram for gram, okay, so 100 grams of the agave gives us 300 calories, okay? 100 grams of honey gives us 325. So there's not a significant difference between them, but the agave is 1.5 times sweeter than the honey, okay? So what we're meant to do is to use less of the agave rather than doing a like for like, because if we use less, because you still get the same level of sweetness, you'll get less of a fructose hit and less of a calorie addition to your meal, okay? So that's some of the pros of it, I guess. Now, where does this agave come from? It comes from the agave plant, and if you can imagine a giant pineapple, about this sort of size, that is the agave plant, and it's grown and harvested down in South America, in Mexico, and it's all half buried in the ground, and you've got the fronds coming out, a bit like a pineapple, and they will take the fruit, like the pineapple looking like bit, and they will extract the sap out of the middle, and they will turn it into this amber nectar. And it's a bit like maple syrup. You'll get different grades and different colours. So there are darker ones that are a little bit more treacly, if you like. So it is natural, but as I say, we still have to be mindful of the amount of sugar that we're having in our diet. And although there has been quite a lot of scary reading around fructose, if we have a lot of fructose, research suggests that there may be implications with overweight or obesity, with metabolic syndromes linked to diabetes and heart disease and so on. But that's really come from the fact that, particularly in America, fructose is very much used as a bulk sweetener, and they use a lot of high fructose corn syrup, which we don't use in this country currently. So it may be, you know, a slightly better alternative, but we don't have to go mad with it. In small amounts, there are certainly little perks and pros associated with it, but don't think necessarily that it's going to be perhaps the miracle bullet you were looking for that's really going to help you reduce your sugar intake, because it's still quite sugary, okay? So it comes down to personal preference, and it does carry quite a hefty price tag. Okay, so hopefully that's given you a bit of clarity. If you like my videos, please subscribe to Mel Wakeman on YouTube, and I will see you next time. Thanks guys, bye.